There are many martial arts that have come forward in the public eye across time, from karate to kickboxing, from tai chi to taekwondo. But one that many thought was lost to time is that of Bartitsu. Bartitsu is a name that sounds like it belongs in a Sherlock Holmes novel, because it does. This forgotten martial art was the first hybrid self-defense system of the modern era, combining Japanese Jujutsu, English boxing, French Savate and Swiss Lacan to prepare Victorian gentlemen for the dangers of London streets. But over a century later, the question lingers. Can Bartitsu still work for self-defense today? The answer is more complex than you might think. Let's explore its history, techniques, practicality, and how it compares to modern martial arts. Edward William Barton-Wright was a man ahead of his time. A British engineer who lived in Japan for 3 years, he trained in Kodokan Jiu-Jitsu under Higuro Kano's students. When he returned to England in 1898, he saw a problem. Victorian society was dangerous. Gangs, street thugs, and criminals preyed on the upper class, and walking alone in London after dark could be a life or death decision. Barton-Wright combined the most effective combat techniques from the East and West to create Bartitsu, which he described as the new art of self-defense. His goal was to give the well-dressed gentleman a way to fight back against muggers and troublemakers. There are 4 main pillars to Bartitsu's combat: Jiu-Jitsu for grappling, joint locks and throws, pugilism or Western boxing for fast, powerful punches, Savate or French kickboxing for quick, devastating kicks, and Lacan or stick fighting for using a cane or umbrella as a weapon. Barton-Wright didn't just teach Bartitsu in a gym. He trained students in real-world scenarios, simulating street attacks with multiple opponents, confined spaces, and even weapons. Now that we know what Bartitsu was, let's ask, is it still practical today? The key to answering that lies in breaking down its core techniques. Grappling, or Jiu-Jitsu. Bartitsu's Jiu-Jitsu-based grappling focused on joint locks to control an opponent, sweeps and throws to take down attackers, escapes from grabs, chokes and holds. These techniques remain 100% relevant today. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo use similar principles, proving that Bartitsu's grappling elements are still effective in modern self-defense. We see them back and forth if we look at footage from people in the past trying Bartitsu, if we look at the manuals for Bartitsu, and then look at the same for Judo, for Jiu-Jitsu, we can see a correlation. Then boxing, pugilism. The scientific boxing used in Bartitsu focused on fast, straight punches, head movement and counterattacks, and defensive parries to deflect incoming strikes. Boxing remains one of the best striking arts today, so this aspect of Bartitsu is still highly practical. The way in which it's trained is, of course, very different to what it was back in Victorian England. However, the integration of a form of boxing into your modern self-defense is certainly relevant. Then, kicking, Savate. Bartitsu's low-line Savate kicks were designed to disable an opponent's legs, strike vulnerable areas like the groin and knees, and maintain distance and control engagements. This style of kicking is still useful today, especially in martial arts such as Muay Thai, kickboxing and Krav Maga. These martial arts and self-defense systems used today are often lauded as being some of the best, and yet we dismiss martial arts such as Bartitsu simply because of its age. Then, stick fighting, or Lacan. Bartitsu's use of a walking stick as a weapon was one of its most unique features. Using a cane, umbrella, or even a rolled-up magazine as a defensive tool is still valid today, especially for people who don't carry weapons. The principles of using everyday objects as weapons aligns with modern systems such as Krav Maga and military combatives. Of course, the idea of using a cane was specific to the time due to its likelihood in the upper crust of society of Victorian London. However, the improvisation of a weapon similar is very useful today. Now comes the real question. Can you use Bartitsu in a real fight today? Let's look at a few scenarios. Let's say someone grabs you in a street altercation. Bartitsu's grappling techniques allows for breaking free and using joint locks and balance manipulation. A well-timed hip throw can put an attacker on the ground instantly. This would echo a judo practitioner being grabbed in the same way. Then, facing multiple attackers. Bartitsu emphasizes footwork and movement, allowing you to position yourself where you only fight one attacker at a time. Quick jabs and low kicks can help create space, and then, of course, time to escape. This is the predominant idea for most martial arts and self-defense systems. Create space and then escape. The ability to create this space, to have the movement and the footwork, works with any martial art and modern system that you can think of. Then, let's say a mugger demands a wallet, a phone, something of value. If you're holding some kind of improvised weapon, such as a phone, an umbrella, especially if you're in England, then Bartitsu's stick fighting skills can give you a defensive idea through its now weaponry-like ideal. Targeting the attacker's hands, knees, or head can end the confrontation. However, this is of course somewhat fanciful for many, and of course the usual idea is to simply give over your goods. So although there is an idea that will be in training and is in training for many systems, this one simply reflects the idea of run. While there aren't many Bartitsu schools today, the art is of course still seeing a revival in martial arts circles. Many techniques have been absorbed into modern self-defense systems, making it more relevant than ever. So where can you learn Bartitsu today? Well, there are, as I say, dedicated schools, with some instructors reviving the full system. Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. These arts share much of Bartitsu's core grappling philosophy, and so if you like the system, this is a great starting point and of course incredibly helpful, as we've said previously. Then boxing and kickboxing. The striking principles of Bartitsu live on in these arts. And of course, Krav Maga and self-defense classes. Many modern systems still teach the concept of using everyday objects for self-defense, a key aspect of Bartitsu. A mix of all of these, parts of these, or just using the aesthetics is of course going to help you in the revival and usage of Bartitsu. Bartitsu is no longer just a historical curiosity. The principles it taught, adaptability, practicality, and intelligence in combat, are just as valuable today. If you want a self-defense system that mixes techniques with strategy, Bartitsu still holds up. Whether you're training in Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, or even cane defense, the legacy of Bartitsu is still alive and well. What do you think? Would you train in Bartitsu today? Have your say in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more dives into martial arts history.